This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. And folks, I am rocking a beautiful Toronto background behind me, a nice winter scene. I know that scene very well, that odd looking, machete looking building behind me. Toronto's filled with weird, odd looking buildings like that. And it's like, why? Not that I'm criticizing, but why? But anyway, nonetheless, here we are, January the 2nd, 2026. Happy New Year, folks. And I got a guest on my show today that I believe the last three times I had him on, I think it was in May. But then he got telling me last night he's got to come on my show before somebody else asks him.
Expedite the fourth, my fourth time, right, Greg? Why wait?
Folks, I give you Mr. Scott Hand. How do you do, Scott?
Happy New Year. Happy New
Happy
Year,
New
Greg.
Year.
Happy New Year, everybody. Let's hope for a good one.
Yeah. No, you just happened to be online wishing me Happy New Year last night. And of course, I wasn't working overnight last night, and you was telling me you were saying you and what's Rachel's last name?
Roberts, Rachel Ann Roberts. Yeah,
Right.
Coffee Talk. Yeah, I've been on her show three times, and I'll be going on pretty soon for my fourth time. And like
Let's
I was just saying, you guys are like almost neck and neck because I'm going to be going four with her, and I would be going four for you.
so plug her podcast here. Is it on YouTube and Spotify and places like that?
Oh yeah,
So
one she does. To the best of my knowledge, I get it every. She does it every day, but most of the time, I think she's alone. It's just her for a few minutes, talking with with the coffee, coffee talk. It's a
that's
more
what it's called, Coffee Talk.
yeah. She does it around this time. Like it's usually morning. It's a short one. It's I think the limit's like 15, maybe 20 minutes. I can't remember exact minutes because you get on, you do your thing, and then when it's over, it's recorded. I
Hmm.
believe ahead of time. I think she does some editing. I believe she does some editing to it. I believe I'm not 100%.
She's
Um,
probably more skilled than me, more tech savvy.
Probably, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
She, like I said, she's doing it on a regular basis. She's on every day, mostly alone, and then she gets guests. And then when she gets the guests, she found me on the talk show that I was co-hosting with Scott Icon Homroast. I believe you know him.
Okay. Yep. I've had him on a couple times. All right. No, I've had him on once. I've had some of the people affiliated with him on more than once. So
Yeah, well, I was co-hosting for a while there on his show, and then I'm not sure what's going on. I know they're not in the station anymore. I don't know if he's still doing it or what's going on with the show. But she was on. We talked. We had our few minutes talking, and she said, "Hey, wait a minute. I'd like to get you on my show." And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So we did the Facebook request and then the Instagram, and then we talked. And she's like, "Can I have you tomorrow morning?" This was I don't know last year or something like that. I can't remember now. And I got on. We did it. And then I don't remember if it wasn't long later, maybe 6 months. It wasn't a year. And she was like, can you come back and continue? Because like I said, I think when you and I do this, there's like no limit to the time. There is a limit to the time over there when you do. I
oh,
think,
okay.
yeah, I think I can't, it's 15 or 20 minutes, something like that. I think that's kind of like the time. And then that's the end of the show. You know what I'm saying? That's for the day because she does it I believe 7 days a week. Maybe, she knocks out some holidays or something like that. But the best of my knowledge, she's on there. It seems to be an everyday thing. So, I went back on and then she had me on again recently. And then I'll be going back, like I said, pretty soon, so four for you and be four with her. And then some of the other ones that I was on, like Travis, I forget his last name. I was on his show once. I've never heard from him. That was last year, I believe. And then there was a couple of other ones that I was on. Teresa Akers, Success Diaries. I was with her this summer. I know she wants to get back together, for another one too. I hear from her. I hear from her pretty regularly. So, and she got me. Well, I got in touch with her through Nicole Butler Vegas. I don't know. I think you said you interviewed her, didn't you? Yeah, because I met
Nope.
Nicole.
don't think so. No, I don't recognize the name.
You might want to look her up. That would probably be a good interview for you. I met her by chance in person this past summer, and I already knew. I was already familiar. She's like myself. She's a independent film producer. You know, actress mostly, actress first with
Okay.
her, and then but she does. Nicole does crowdfunding. I don't normally. I haven't ventured into that mostly because I don't really understand it. I would need somebody to teach me that and coach me through that. And she's done it. She did. You can. She did a movie, Desert Fiends, and they did when she came here. I think she said they had already filmed Desert Fiends Part Two. So, and then she has another movie coming out. I think right now called Skate to Hell. So, and if you look her up, she's done quite a few. She's done quite a few films, and she's going to be doing another movie this summer with these people that I've talked to, like you and I are doing. They had actually interviewed me when they used to do a podcast. I think it's called Killer Pizza, the movie. I think that's the
Yeah,
actual.
I'm familiar with that. Yeah.
Yeah, she's going to be in Killer Pizza. And I might be too. I'm not sure yet. It's possible. I don't know.
I've had Anthony Comano on here
Yeah,
a few times, and my friend Brandy McKenzie, I think, is involved with that as well.
yeah.
Yeah, I know Brandy personally, so
Yeah, and we had I used Tommy was the my visual effects guy for Lycan, which will finally be coming out this year, the werewolf movie that I did. I think we've talked about it all three shows that I was here. And that was my first feature film. I'm used to doing the shorter films, so it's like, the script is like 20 pages, the movie ends up being 30 minutes, um, and you just go, you do your thing, you cut it together, you get it out there, you do it yourself, you just see what happens, and that's it. Feature film's a little bit different, there's a lot of things that there's a lot more I's to dot, a lot more T's to cross, a lot more things you realize you did that you can't do. So you have to go back and change this and you have to change that. And then you find out because you made it without distribution, you have the distributor now interested in the film and the contract has a whole 2 pages of the deliverables and you're reading it and you're like, what the hell is this? What the hell is that? And you're like, before I sign this, and they're like, well, you should have an entertainment lawyer. And I'm like, yeah, I think so too. So I got one and he walked me through most of it. Should have walked me through a little bit more, I think, but he walked me through most of it, and we went over some things together. And he told me what there is to look for in these things and what there's not to. And he pointed out a few things that he'd already dealt with this company, so he's like, "I'm going to show you here." He goes, "Go to this page, go to that page, read this. Do you understand this? Do you understand that?" I'm like, "No." He goes, let me tell you what it means." And he told me what it means, and I'm like, "No." And he's like, yeah, absolutely. We're going to take those out. It's a contract. It should be negotiable. If it's not negotiable, you shouldn't probably be signing it because God knows what you're signing. And if that's the point, you don't know what you're going to get yourself into. And so you have to, if you're going to do movies, you've got to have an entertainment lawyer. And it really shouldn't even be your own lawyer, because if it's a personal lawyer, they don't know the lingo and they could just look at it and they're going to look at it like you are. Like they're just going to look at it where it's not where what I normally do. I mean, it looks fine to me. Everything sounds right, but it might not be good for you, the filmmaker, and that was what Bob was going over with me. And then we eventually signed it. And then when we did, they moved us over to the onboarding people to go over the deliverables with us so that we understood what it is. Because I think we only have I think we're down to 3 weeks, according to the contract for the deadline to have them all. Most of this stuff's writing stuff, which I did start. Holidays are tough. It's a bad time of year to sign a contract in December. You know what I mean? So, but all the same, there's some elbow room. It sounds like it's not going to. It sounds like they want the majority of it by the 21st, and then if we're still hanging on a few things, we might be okay for a while. And then I asked the ladies that were giving us all the information. I said, if and when the deliverables are accepted, where do we go from there? They said, we're going to move you over to our marketing team. And then we go to marketing. And then during that process, you're going to get your release date. You're going to find out where it's going to be. You're going to be able to, we're going to start sending you things to start putting on your social media. And I'll probably have to come back. You'll probably have to have me 5 times. You'll probably have to have me again later this year for a plug or something like that, Greg, because it's going to be, the movie's coming out in 26. It's definitely going to be out this year,
okay.
So when that happens, that'll be my first feature film. Um, I'm trying to think if there's anything in it where like we do have clips. We do have clips. I know. I don't think you do editing on yours. So yeah, a lot of times like some of them will be like because I know they're going to send me to some too. They're going to be. They said we're going to make clips for you unless you have them. I said I got five, and they're like, well, we want to see them first, and we'll let you know if they're the ones that we like or whatever. I think they're good clips. I think it doesn't give a whole lot away. Um, so, I mean, I think we should be good with that. I've already posted actually a couple of them on my Facebook and my Instagram. I think I posted three of the five. I figured I'd hold on to the other two until we had the distribution deal going and then just kind of repackage and re-promote and go from there. Plus, we had our poster art by Chris Waters. I don't know if they're going to be using it. I think they said about making some adjustments. Um, and of course, there's the thumbnail. We have a thumbnail, because it's all streaming today, so you have to have like a thumbnail. So we were guided through that, like maybe a year ago or so, maybe a little more. When there was one film sales agent, he said you need a thumbnail. This is a good image to use. This is what you can do. Blah 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 blah, and we did it. So I mean, it's filmmaking's. I was telling somebody they're all saying it on my Facebook. I have a lot on my Facebook going on. I have a lot of followers and friends on my Facebook. Instagram, not so much. So I get most of my DMs, and there've been quite a few lately. They're like, "What's this movie? What are you doing?" Well, I didn't know about this, and I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of held off on Facebook because that's where I had my big following. So I figured I'd wait till I had a signed contract for distribution when I could say it's coming. We know for a fact this is the year. We finally can say it's coming out this year. You know, but one other thing I learned from the Lycan experience that if I am lucky enough to get to do this again, and that will only happen, if somebody comes along with development funding, which really isn't an end of the world amount, but it's an amount of money and they have to believe in you and the project and all. And that, I think that seems to be a big issue right now. I think there's too many people out there making movies. I think there's too much. And I think it's saturated in the independent field. And I think it's really a shame because I think it's getting harder and harder for people to realize what is worth my time versus what isn't worth my time. Some stuff sounds good and you put it on and you're like, yikes, these people can't even act. Which, I mean, I hate to say, I don't have any like named actors in mind, but I do feel that with Lycan, that I mean, I've looked at the movie. I didn't look at it again since we signed the deal, but I'm going to be looking at it tomorrow because we're going to be working tomorrow on it, and we're going to be working for the next 3 weeks on it. But I don't feel that we really had anything where looking at what's out there today, I do think we are above the cut. You know what I mean? I do think we have a very cohesive story. I made sure that when I wrote it, I wrote a movie that I thought would be interesting and would be good fun for people to see. It's not effects heavy, it's more drama.
So you caught me well last night, and I thought it was funny because you were mentioning Rachel Roberts of what did you say her coffee time?
Coffee talk. Yeah, she's a really nice person. She really is. Very good, really great
Oh, I
person.
thought it was funny last night you mentioned you're both before times for both of you. I was like, hey, yeah, cool, cool. He said, although she's gonna be next month, so she'll be ahead of you. And I'm like, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, well, I'm fucking available right now. I'm not working right now. You want to come on? You just had to open your mouth, didn't you?
Well, it was a good time to do it. Sometimes May can be a little tricky. So, January is a good time. Like I think I said earlier, I don't know if we were recording then, but I think
Yeah.
January, that's a good time to really get people because I think January, that first month in the year, you really don't know what's going on. And most of the time, I know that I don't really have a whole lot going on in January. So,
Yeah, I've had you. This is your fourth time, and I think all the other times, like I have all my interviews listed for since 2015, and but I also have another listing of dates like yours will go under right today, January 2nd. It'll be underneath all the others from January 2nd, and it just kind of allows me to see what's been on when. So most times when I'm looking over reaching out, especially having people back on. I'm always looking over the current month to see who's been on, and some people are scattered throughout several months. A lot of it depends. And then there's some people I usually, there's a certain time of year that, and I come across them, I'm like, okay, I guess it's time to up this person. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So here
What do
you
you got?
are.
What do you got weather-wise up there? What's it like? Any snow?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
none here.
it's cold.
It's cold here, but it's no. We had snow yesterday, but it's gone. It's gone. We don't have anything left.
I'm one of these people I just like to be left alone.
Mhm.
And
That's how I was.
yep. And so yeah, mainly I work and I sleep. And I'll do these. I'm lucky I can do these right from my apartment now on Zoom, so it's just easy now. Because I remember the first few years I did these at the station downtown, and I just can't do it that way anymore. It's just I have to secure a time and this and that. It's like I can't guarantee any of that shit.
I know. And the thing of it is, too, I'm sure, like myself, you were warned that as you get older, things are going to change and they're going to get a little harder. I think that's true. I don't know how you feel about it, but I definitely feel it. So,
Well, 2 years, the end of this month, I had an eye operation, a retina operation, and yeah, I'm starting to feel my age.
it's there.
You
You know,
know,
think about when you were a kid. We're both 53 years old. I'm going to be 54 soon. So, think about when you were a kid growing up. If you heard somebody was 54, what did you think? Man, they're old. You know,
yeah,
Unfortunately,
funny, isn't it? It's
and it,
also interesting too, because I've noticed this a lot of people talk about movies where people, people are supposed to be playing teenagers, but they look like adults.
yeah,
But I'm going to be honest with you. I remember when I was in like those first two or three grades, and I would see those that are in, well, my elementary school went from grade 1 to 9 at that time. And the grade niners look like adults to me, you know?
yeah,
And if you look at past yearbooks from your high school, and look at what people looked like at that time, a lot of them did look like adults.
yeah. Well, think
Like
of
I
it this
was born in 1972. If you take a look at a high school yearbook from 1972, I guarantee you, um, you're going to see, especially their senior year, everybody's going to look like they're going to look like they're 35, even though they're not.
way.
Yeah,
It's funny you say that. I would have to agree with you. Yeah, everybody looked older, and now everybody looks younger. You know, I always wondered to myself, is it me? Is it my? But it turns out even people in their 40s are saying that about these people that are in their 20s and all. So
yeah. So, yeah, it's an interesting little process. And it's funny too because one of the things I try to do when I'm at work, I keep my earphones in and I try to enjoy my time listening to podcast and this and that. And the other night I was at work ringing in the New Year's. It was actually the 30th of December, but still, I rung it in anyway. I was going through my past and just sharing from YouTube a bunch of music videos I grew up with, the real creative ones. And I was just doing that. And I would let the music play in my head and I would go about doing my cleaning. And when the song was over, I'd pause and I'd throw out another one. But I'd always be thinking, what am I going to put out there next? I must have put about 30 of them. You
yeah,
know, it was interesting the engagement I had because when I went on my break and looked on my phone, there was on Facebook so many comments, and it's like, oh, I gotta get to these and look at these. And it was interesting the engagement. And I try to do that. I want to do some on some of my favorite films of 2025, maybe coming up tonight or tomorrow or whenever, and just have some fun with that. But but yeah, I try to concentrate on my show and concentrate on some of the conventions I want to go to and
Have to do the
I
things that make you happy. You know what I mean?
I try to go to the movies once a week,
Mhm.
and because I still like doing this. There's been a lot of stuff said about Warner Brothers being bought by Netflix and all that stuff, and it kind of bothers me because my TV is just set up to watch my Blu-rays. Like my Blu-ray player conked
Same,
out. Yeah,
same.
my Blu-ray player conked out December, and I was doing my
Get another one.
Christmas.
Get another one, man.
Yeah, I did, but it affected my Christmas watch list though,
Yeah. Always,
because
always have more than one, man. Always have more than one. I learned that a long time ago. They're not expensive anymore.
no.
Yeah. Now I have a few of them. Yeah. Now I got more than one. So yeah, I have backup and everything. They're cheap. They're not expensive anymore. I don't know if you remember, but I mean, I'm going to go back to the '80s. When we had VHS. Remember VHS?
Yeah.
I mean, what the VHS player in like 1984 was like $300, but I mean American dollars. But this is 1984. That would be like almost $1,000 today. So I mean, it was not affordable if you think about it. It was not really affordable to like a low income home. You'd had to be a very middle class or above to have that. You know what I'm saying? Which thankfully we did. And we got ours in 1984 when I had friends that got theirs in 1982. You know, so
Well, it's funny because I stuck my Blu-ray in for my Christmas watch list of Home Alone, which I've
mhm.
watched many times, and then the
Yes,
thing comes up on my television saying that my player needs to be upgraded or blah blah blah, and I was like, I'd never seen that before.
that's the newer ones. Yes, the downloads. Yeah, there's some kind of software upgrade it needs or something. Yeah, I had that happen to me once. Yeah, you have
And
to plug it into your internet, and you have to go on to whoever. I think mine was Samsung, and then when you go there, you have to look at the serial number on yours and type it in, and then when you do that, it just downloads, and then you're good to go.
you see, and I'm like, I don't want to fucking do that,
And now I feel the same.
So now I've got a
But you,
new
but you may
Blu-ray.
but you probably have a Blu-ray UHD player, which is the 4K. So if you have that player, that is why. All right, because even the HDMI cables that you use for Blu-ray are not the
Mhm.
same for 4K because the theater now has 4K. So I had to change the player. I had to change the HDMI cords because the ones that I have are only for what is it? What was it? 1080p? I think it is, right?
I don't
Now
know.
this is now 2160. Now I'm going to tell you. I mean, so I get to see things on a big screen. You really can see, depending on the remastering or the mastering of whatever you're showing, you can see big differences because we watched The Shining around Halloween this year, and some of those shots, I don't remember ever seeing the trees having brown leaves on them before. I always just remember snow and green. I never remembered seeing the brown leaves. So I saw that, and the guy next to me, Joe, I nudged him. I said, "Did you ever see it?" He said, "No, no." He said, "Not all the years." No, no, not at all. And this goes into the Netflix guy who made the statement with Warner Brothers. I think, what is it now? The theatrical releases are going to have an even more limited window because I think, what is
Yeah.
it? It's going to only be 6 weeks, and then they're going to go right to Netflix. And certain movies that Warner's had going, like I could be wrong. I think there's a Batman sequel or something. I haven't kept up with Batman, but there's a sequel. Well, now that is going to be a Netflix exclusive. That movie. So and he made a statement like people get the experience just as good, if not better, watching the movie on their phone or their laptop. Well, I can tell you this right up front: it's not true because
That's total bullshit.
it is total bullshit. Absolutely 100%. I agree. Yeah. And the thing is, you could prove it wrong anytime if you can go and take your 4K movie, and put it through a 4K player on a 4K output and sit there closely and watch the film. Now, I know a lot of these, like if you think about it, I was thinking about this the other day too. When you grew up, because we're same age, your TV, think about this. When you were in the living room sitting there with your folks watching TV, you weren't, your TV wasn't up above the fireplace and you weren't going like this. See my head? Right.
Yeah.
You were looking down at the floor because remember, it was on the floor of the TV. So you were looking like this unless it was a smaller TV and it was on a shelf. Then maybe you were looking, instead of looking like this, maybe you were looking like this or you were looking like that. But if you think about it, though, most people that I know, if they had, I think they call them console TVs or something like that. And it was almost like a piece of furniture too. Remember, it was like it wasn't just the tube. You got, it was like a nice, pretty trim around it and everything. But if you think about it, you were not. First of all, I'm going to use the standard when you go in. You were not like this watching the movie. You were like this watching it. So I don't know about you. That may not sound like a lot, but I think it is when you're sitting there staring at something for hours upon hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And of course the TVs. Now they're a movie. The TVs, the flat screens are like movie theater screens. They're the rectangles. Those consoles were like ovals. Remember they
Yeah.
sometimes like a circle. Or obelisk or something like that. I remember my dad saying that. He's like, no, that's not flat. It's not a screen. It's obelisk. I remember that, 36 years ago or 40 years ago, whatever it was, but you got to think about that too. But even, I can tell you this, even with the flat screen TV, I'm going to give you an example. I always liked the movie Grease. My mother
I
took me
do
to,
too. I've done a few interviews from that.
my mother took me to see that at the drive-in in summer 1978. And I loved the movie.
Yeah.
And it's the first movie I begged her to take me back to see. I thought Olivia Newton-John was beautiful. I had a crush on her. I did. I had a big crush on
I
Olivia.
was working on getting her on here. Her manager was working very well with me. The problem is the year she passed, he wanted to try to get her on my show, and she was going to do, I think, I don't know whether it was a tour or something. She wanted to do something, and then her health got worse and she passed away. And I was, on a personal level, for me, I was devastated because I would have loved to have had Olivia Newton-John on the podcast,
Yeah.
you know. So I was working on that, and she passed. And yeah, I agree. She was absolutely gorgeous. I've had a few people from Greece on here. I had Antonia Franceschi on here, who was one of the backup dancers. And my funny story about that, I've had her on twice. I had a little thing for Antonia when she was in Fame as a snotty ballet dancer. And that's what she still does to this day, ballet. Still does that. However, with the first of two times I had her on, she sent me a little biography on herself, so I could have some stuff to look at before I interview her. And Greece was mentioned. And the moment Greece was mentioned, I was like, she's one of the backup dancers, and I knew exactly which one she was because there was one I was always fixated on because she was the hottest one.
Uh-huh.
And except in Fame, she had dirty blonde hair. In Greece, she had dark hair. And when she come on here, I pointed out who I thought she was. And every time she said, "Yeah, that was me." And I said, "Yeah, I was fixated on you every time you were on screen because I thought you were beautiful." And still do. She still looks stunning. But I've had her on. I've had Eddie Deason on here. It was a great interview. Um, I had the art director's been on here, and I have Barry Pearl, who's one of the T-Birds, on here. I'd like to get a few more on here because I know some of the Pink Ladies are online. I just haven't gotten any of them to respond yet. I felt bad. Susan Buckner passed away, who was forget her character's name, the
Was she
one that
Patty? Was she Patty?
Patty Simcock, yeah. You want to talk about somebody who was stunning in reality because they
Uh,
didn't make her up to look all that attractive in Greece, but you see headshots of her. She could have rivaled Olivia Newton-John
yes,
easily.
absolutely. Yeah, you didn't see that when you were 6 years old, but you saw that when you were 26 years old.
Yeah, and I wanted to get her on, and she passed away before I could too. So, but
And who was the one? The other one that passed away young was the one that played Cha Cha, Annette Charles, right? Is that her name?
yeah,
Yeah, I know she passed away quite some time ago. She died young. But yeah, another thing that's funny is too, like you didn't realize it at the time, and we're talking about everybody looking like adults. If you think about what Olivia Newton-John was, at what, almost 30 when she did that. And I mean, I didn't think she looked 30. I mean, in hindsight, I mean, I was six, we were both 6 years old when we saw it. So everybody looked old to us, you know what I mean? But when you think about it, you think to yourself, you're like, but did she really look that old? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know if you think that way, but I do. I'm like, yeah, but did she really look that old? Did she really look 30? It's like, you look at things differently. The older and older I get, the more I look at things differently. You know what I'm saying?
Sissy Spacek pulled it off in Carrie. She was
Yeah, she did.
27,
Yeah.
but it was all in how she was dressed and
Yes.
how she carried herself.
Yeah.
And she actually looked like a teenager, but she was
Yeah.
27, you
Yeah.
know? I was going to say the first person I think to die from Greece was the guy who played Dennis Stewart, who played Craterface.
Yeah. That's
And
right.
I heard a great story about him from Eddie Deason because Eddie Deason said if there was anybody in that film that was unlike their character, it was
Mhm.
Dennis Stewart. He said he plays this just nasty, vile character in Grease, but he said on set, like Eddie's never driven. He's never had a license.
Mhm.
So he used to take the bus there from I forget where. And he said one day on set, Dennis Stewart said, "You're not taking the bus anymore. I'll take you." And that pretty much set in stone who he was.
Well, hold on. Now, Crater Face. Okay.
Yeah.
Same summer, 1978, he was in another musical. Do you remember what it was? Same summer. This one flopped.
Just a minute. Same summer.
1978. If I give you a hint, you're going to know immediately. You ready? It just gives it away. It's the only movie the Bee Gees did. Sergeant
Oh,
Pepper's.
Sergeant Pepper's.
He's in the scene.
You mentioned BG. I kept thinking Saturday Night Fever, but they just didn't sound. Yeah, Sergeant Pepper's was a bit embarrassing.
Yeah. But everyone unanimously agrees on one thing. The best part of Sergeant Pepper is Dr. Maxwell Edison's scene with Steve Martin. Everybody still loves that scene with Steve. And that is where Craterface is. He's one of the dancers, and you have several good, clear shots of him that when you see it on a movie screen, you sit there and you're like, whoa, it's Craterface. It's like, whoa, I didn't know he was in this. But then again, I don't watch that movie too often anyway. But when I do, that scene is the highlight of that movie. And the people that worked at the local movie theaters back then said that when it played, that was the scene where all the ushers just wanted to be there to watch that scene. The rest of the
Yeah.
movie they didn't care, but they said it was just so well done. And Steve Martin, and again, I always felt he stole the show in Little Shop of Horrors. Again, playing a dentist, twice. You know,
Yeah,
and it,
Novocaine, yeah.
it's so funny. He's not really in that movie that much, but when that Little Shop of Horrors came out, they promoted that with that scene. That marketing campaign was really centered around it because every ad it was, be a dentist, whap, and he punches her in the face and knocks her out. And it was like you laughed like hell back then. Today you probably wouldn't. You'd be horrified. I guess you're supposed to be, but back then it was hysterical. And it was like, oh my God, this is going to be awesome. I can't wait to see this movie. And then you see the movie. It's a good movie, but you're like, what is it, 40 minutes into it or something? And you're like, wait a minute, where the hell's Steve Martin at? And then he comes in, he does the big thing. You get the great scene with him and Bill Murray, which is hysterical. And then he's killed off and chopped up and fed to, Audrey too. And it's like, oh man, that's it. Yeah. It always, if you stay away from that movie for a while, which I did, and then you revisit it and you remember if you go on YouTube and watch that marketing campaign again, and you're like, oh wow, and you're like, I know he doesn't have a lot of scenes in this. you still get that disappointment when you watch it again because you're like, man, it really didn't give him a whole lot. You would have really thought they would have, for the movie expanded that character, or maybe had Bob Gaudio write another song for him, or you figured there would have been, you could have at least gotten one more good scene. I mean, Steve Martin was always, really good, and not just good with the humor, but he was really good with the dance. I mean, if you watch Little Shop of Horrors, man, I mean, he's really, kicking his legs and, throwing his back. And I mean, it really shows what a, really good actor and comedian he really is. I've always been a big fan of Steve Martin. He's
Oh, I
always
don't blame you. I love the jerk.
so do I. And Dead Men Don't Wear Plaids, another one I love too. And even The Man with Two Brains, that was hysterical. Yeah, Steve Martin was really good. He was definitely somebody I really enjoyed his stuff, and you don't really see much from him anymore. And the same thing with, John Carpenter. He was definitely one of my favorite directors. I used to, up until Ghosts of Mars, he was a name that you could trust.
Yeah, Ghost of Mars was pretty
Yeah,
shitty.
yeah,
Yeah.
great movie.
Actually, even his last one there with Amber Heard,
Oh,
was
oh, I couldn't finish it. I didn't go to the movies for that one. That one, I Ghost of Mars came out, and it was really a what the fuck moment. It was. I went to see it with a couple of my friends. We're big John Carpenter fans, and we don't hate Escape from L.A. Just so I want to get that
I
off.
do.
Yeah, a lot of most people do. I don't hate it. I
I
don't
do.
love it as a. I don't know what is it, an hour and 45 minutes or
I
whatever it
was
is.
embarrassed watching Escape from LA.
There are parts that are embarrassing, but I always, back in that day, at least, I've always said this about certain movies. There's some movies where there's enough scenes where I can say, okay, I like it. I don't like it as an hour and 45-minute movie. There's scenes I wish they had dropped and done differently, but there's enough scenes in that one that I like. But when we went to see The Ghosts of Mars, I didn't see anything in that at all. I mean, everything looked fly by the pants. The dialogue, the actors looked like they were stumped in scenes. It was one of the very first times I went, and I'm thinking, I think these people don't know what to say. This must be ad lib. I'm thinking you could see there's like with Natasha Henstridge and I think was it Jason Statham in that, like they have a scene where he's trying to push her for sex, and she's kind of like she's got this face like, huh? Like, where'd this come from? Like, I think legitimately it wasn't there. And he put it there, and she had to think, which is the best way to go about answering this. And then I think she decides, well, I haven't, I'm sure the contract was there. There was no sex in the movie. So she already knew I can do whatever I want. There's nothing going to change here, you know. So, but that was just everything. That's just one moment. There's even the kill scenes in that, everything in that movie just really seemed like, I don't know what kind of script there was, if there was, or just an outline. It was a really, really bad movie. And then the one that you're mentioning, The Ward, right? It was called The Ward.
Yeah.
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 I saw an ad for that, and I thought, oh God, it looks like he's doing. I mean, he was gone for 7 years or something, or 8 years, which was unusual. And I did not go to the theater for that. I decided to stream it, and I couldn't even get through it. I don't remember anything about it. I just remember trying and thinking, wow, and now he just does music for movies, so.
Did you see anything interesting 2025?
You're talking about the movie wise, dude. I'm stuck
Yeah.
in the past. I'm stuck in the past. I don't go out to the public theaters because when you have your setup at home and you've got Dolby Atmos and you got a projector and you got a nice size screen and all that, you don't really have to. I
I
really.
like I like going to the theater. I'm sorry. Like even when I go to Toronto, there's
There's nothing I
various
want to
different.
say. There's just nothing out there, man. There's just.
See, I went and saw John Carpenter. Speaking of John Carpenter, I saw Halloween twice on the big screen in Toronto.
I saw it on the big screen here, and it was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I saw some good ones last year, like looking down through, one of them days with Kiki Palmer. I was a surprise fun viewing for me. So I had fun with that. Just kind of going down here the Wikipedia here and what I've seen that I really enjoyed. But one of them days I really enjoyed. I went and saw Begonia twice. I enjoyed that. I love Emma Stone though, so
Mhm.
you know, so I enjoyed that. Um,
Haley Atwell for me. I think I can watch anything she's in.
I don't know. They had her in the last Mission Impossible movie, and I'm like, yeah, I still prefer Rebecca Ferguson.
I didn't see the last one. I didn't see the last mission, but the last one I saw was the one where they killed her off. Yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
what.
I like Rebecca Ferguson. She's very like Emma Stone, easy on the eyes, you know.
Yeah.
Um, I thought The Drop was a pretty decent movie. Didn't do well, but I had fun with it. Um, so that was interesting. Let me see. Fighter flight with Josh Hartnett. That was fun. Friendship. That one was good. Talk about a movie based on overthinking. Yeah. So I had fun at that and going down through here and seeing ones that stand. F1 was really good.
Yes, I did see that. That was good. Yes.
That was really good. And I wasn't even planning to see that. It didn't
Yeah,
look
that I
like it
did
would
see. That was
interest
good.
me. And there was just nothing else that grabbed me. So I thought, I'll go see this. And I was like, oh man, this is really, really
Good.
good.
It was.
Yeah. So I was quite pleased with that. Eddington was interesting. Ari Aster, of course, I was going to go to that because Emma Stone was in it.
How about Fantastic Four?
No, I didn't. I
No.
wasn't interested. I didn't like. I've seen a couple of the other ones. I didn't like them, so I didn't bother with this one. The updated Naked Gun, I actually didn't mind.
I didn't see it. I didn't see that one.
Well, Liam Neeson is basically playing Leslie Nielsen's son in it. It's naked.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I like that about it. I didn't think it was as funny as the other ones, but you know what? They were in the right direction for it. I actually got a number of laughs, and I like that Liam Neeson is able to laugh at himself, and so I had some fun with that. Weapons was really good.
Oh, I saw Weapons. Okay. Yeah, that was a good one.
Weapons. Well, I
Yes.
liked Zach Cregger's previous film, Barbarian, so
I
I
didn't
was
see
all
that, but I did see Weapons. I did see that one.
I've interviewed somebody from Barbarian, so Weapons I was all in on. I enjoyed that. Let me see what else we got here. Anything else that grabs me that I could recommend? Now, a lot of people did not like Him with Marlon Wayans. I found it intriguing,
Okay.
but it landed on a lot of worst list. It won't be on my worst list. I can see why a lot of people didn't like it, but at the same token, I kind of know why it appealed to me. So that was interesting. Of course, I mentioned Bergonia. I saw that in Toronto, and I went and saw it here. I didn't think we were going to get it because the last two Yargos Lanthimos movies we didn't get in Fredericton. So, but I did go see it in Toronto when it played there. I was there for it because it was released limited before it was released wide. So I went and saw that and enjoyed it quite a bit. Um, going down through here, I'm almost through it, but seeing if anything just grabs me. But Zootopia 2, I didn't mind. I liked the previous one, so I like the fact that they were given a different light on snakes. So, you know, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, a lot of people hated. I liked both of them.
Okay. I didn't
So
see.
yeah, I actually liked both of them. Now did I like them as much as Willy's Wonderland with Nicolas Cage? Probably not, because anytime you get Nicolas Cage going crazy, you're in for a good time. But yeah, and I saw the new Anaconda, and I got a few chuckles out of that.
Oh, cool.
Well, I saw Anaconda in the theater when it originally came out.
The first one, right?
Yep,
97. I
yep.
saw that. I saw it in the
I,
theater.
I, and despite all the people complaining about, I thought Anaconda was just a fun monster flick.
Mhm.
And people remember, John Voight and the Wink, and
Yep.
stuff
Yeah.
like. I'm sorry, that's why Anaconda is still remembered.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, um, people say, well, the snake didn't look good. Well, at the time, it didn't bother me, because it was 1997. But I remember loving Anaconda. This one here comes out, and it's about a couple of people that love the movie and want to reboot it. And and I actually really dig that take,
Yeah.
you know, because
Yeah.
people say
Yeah.
there's no more ideas in Hollywood. Well, this was actually a pretty cool idea.
Yeah.
So I actually kind of dug it, and it really it not only celebrates Anaconda, but it celebrates the reputation it now has as being one of those great bad movies. Although I never saw it as a bad movie, I just saw it was a real fun popcorn flick.
The
So
original. Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I
Same.
didn't like any of the ones come after, but yeah, I had fun time with it. So there's movies I try to go every week and see something, and I went to a couple of cons last year. I went to Fan Expo and I went to Frightmare in the Falls. Fan Expo was the first one I did. There was a few hiccups with it. It's the first time I ever come away with complaints,
Mhm.
but I'm going to give it another shot this year. I will say Heather Locklear was absolutely lovely to meet.
Oh, yeah, I saw the pictures you took with people. Yeah.
Heather Locklear was just a doll to meet.
Have you met
But
Heather Thomas?
no, I haven't. Is she nice?
I haven't met her.
Oh,
That's what I'm asking. I didn't know if you came across her in one of your
I'd like to
travels.
meet. I'd like to meet Emma Stone though.
Yes. Hmm.
I'd have goosebumps. But Heather Locklear was wonderful to meet. I did, however, do some photo ops. I met, of course, Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd, but I also I did one with Ewan McGregor, who was there for one day. Photo ops, you're in and out. They shuffle you through quickly, but it's all in the experience. Ewan McGregor was so professional, so polite.
Hmm.
Greet you with a handshake. Hey, thanks for coming. You do your picture and he'd pat you on the back and he'd say, it was nice to meet you. And you go on because obviously there's lines and lines and they have to shuffle them through. It's how photo ops work. But I remember he was so pleasant to everybody. I met photo op with Mike Tyson.
Okay.
Everybody has asked me what Mike Tyson was like. He was seated in a chair. Now, McGregor was standing, but um, Mike Tyson was seated. And when I went over to meet him, I leaned in on him and I said, I loved you in The Hangover, dude. And you could see his eyes kind of like light up. When I have my picture taken with him, he's got his arm around me, and he's got my hand in the other. And I'm like, I think I sparked something with him because I think he appreciated hearing that. So I had a good time overall, but I had a few hiccups. But you want to talk about people you remember. When I went to Frightmare in the Falls, I went and met Bai Ling from The Crow.
Oh, I met her. Yes, I met her.
I love her. I had previously met her at Chiller, and
Hmm.
I wasn't planning to meet her. She wasn't on my list of people I was wanted to meet.
Uh-huh.
What had happened is I had met Tara Buckman, who's been on the show here,
Oh, yes.
Silent Night, Deadly Night, and I needed somebody to take the selfie with us. And she asked Bai Ling to do it. And I looked at Bai Ling and her hair was like pitch black, in a ponytail. And she had like this red bubble jacket on. And her clothes had like all these kind of like figures on them, like anime kind of figures, like your oranges, your reds, and your blacks and your yellows, and all blended in with a white background. And she just looked like she just came out of a collector's package. And I was like, oh man, I gotta meet this woman. And when I met her, like I met her the following day, and she was so friendly. When she
Yeah.
did a picture, she started out, you took several pictures. She'd have her arm around you, And then as the pictures got taken, she'd put her other arm right around your neck, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
And when she was at Frightmare in the Falls this year, I said, I'm definitely going to meet her again because the experience of meeting her was so good. And it was even better this time out because she was at the after party and she was out on the dance floor and I got video of her dancing and I even got her to talk with me in one of the videos, and she was just so freaking fun. I'm trying to get her on here because she said she'd come on, but getting her attention is one thing, but she
Yeah.
awesome. But I went to Frightmare in the Falls, did some photo ops. I was a little let down. Richard Dreyfuss's plane, he was not on his plane from Boston. This is 2 years in a row he's missed us. But I got to meet Jake the Snake Roberts, and that was a highlight for me. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm planning to do those two next year. Did you do any cons this year?
I did not. No, no, I didn't this year. I'm hoping to next year though.
Why
Yeah,
didn't you
this year
do any cons?
I didn't. I didn't have time. This year was a busy year, man. Had a lot going on. Trying to get Lycan out there and working on trying to get other pictures produced and writing more screenplays and hosting movie night and doing all the other things that I do and possibly doing a documentary for the city here. So we'll hopefully 26 I'll get back to the con thing. But nah, 25 was a zip.
Anyway, I want to ask you, who all have you met at cons that made a good impression on you?
Biling. I met Biling. She made a good impression on me. Barry Bostwick. Barry Bostwick,
Okay.
this guy.
The only person from Rocky Horror I've ever had on here was Little Nell. I've had her on twice. I love Little Nell. I've never met Barry Bostwick though.
Nice guy, very nice guy. And when I had gone to that particular one, I know one of the guys that is involved with it, and he's friends with Barry. So it wasn't even like at the booth; like it was an actual like one-on-one conversation, and it was nice. It was actually same thing with Bylink, and but no, she was great. I really enjoyed meeting her. I think I went to that con. I went all 3 days to it, and I got to talk to her each day. But I'm trying to think, that was not it. I met a couple other people, some smaller, like there was another woman that was a cosplayer. I can't remember her name. She was from Italy.
Hmm.
She was not, I can't remember her name. I can't remember it. Blonde. I can't remember. She's doing a lot with AI right now on her social media. Like she's making it look like she's actually friends with the predator and that the predator's hugging her and kissing her and all. So she's obviously very advanced with AI technology, but I don't remember her name. And there were a few other people. I met Steve Silver there. He's an independent actor, a really nice guy. Became friends with him, and of course his wife, Ivy Dominique. She's like a well-known model, and she's got more degrees than you'll ever see in your life. Every time I talk to her, she's going back for another degree. She's got a PhD in this. She's actually, I think she's doctor. Ivy Dominique, and she's been on the cover of Forbes and I think GQ and all kinds of magazines. In fact, she was set to play a part in the Black Tent, and she actually was in a hair salon, and she was getting her hair dyed very dark, and she ran into a friend of hers that I think was reporting or something, and she said, "Hey, I'm going to be doing this movie, and I'm working on things. I'm trying to come up with a look and all, and it's going to be for Scott Hand, and it's called the Black Tent." And then they did an article. They actually did an article, an interview with her, and I forget, it was Digi Magazine or whatever, but that was cool. I mean, that was cool. I mean, the picture didn't happen, but it would have been great if it could have happened. You know, so
I've never had like any bad experience till Fan Expo. I'm willing to give it another shot this year because I know some different stuff it was doing, so I might be better prepared. But have you ever had any bad experience with people you met there?
well, not at that expo. I don't think I've ever gone to
No,
that.
any expo.
A bad one. Oh, well, I don't know if it's a bad experience, more of an embarrassing experience, but it wasn't a bad one. I don't think I had I'm trying to think about an actual bad one. What do you think? An actual
Up
date.
until then, I hadn't, but
Well,
like,
I almost did in when D. Snyder was plugging that horror movie. He did. He did a horror.
okay,
It wasn't very good, but I used to listen to Twisted Sister and all, and
yeah.
obviously I was very familiar with him, and he was there. It was the only time he was ever I was ever close to him, and I was in this little line, and this security woman comes over and she's like, "Oh, sorry, that this is it. He's going on. It's the end of the day, so forth." I looked at her and I thought, "You gotta be kidding me! You're gonna come up and tell there's not even anybody behind me here, honey." So we started to go at it, me and the security guard. This is about 2030, whatever that movie came out, whatever year that was, a long time ago. And I remember the name of the movie. And the last person moved, boy, he was still standing there. And I had the camera and I looked and I said, "Hey, D," and he looked up at me. He was like, "What?" And I went like that. He goes, "Yeah, come on over." So I actually trumped the security guards. Security guards are arguing with me, telling me that I was the cutoff. This is it. Goodbye. Beat it. Skadoodle. And I'm there arguing with her long enough to where everybody's going. He's there. And he said, "Yeah, come on over." Yeah.
When I go to these cons, I'm used to, and I think this should be the standard. They have a thing up there, price for autograph, price for selfie, price for combo.
Right.
And now photo ops, I get they're done professionally. I get it, and some of them are really creative. People dressing up as characters, and okay, I get that. That's fine. But this whole autograph thing and whatnot, and then you can't get a selfie at the table. I'm sorry, but that's unacceptable, and I'm not going to deal with that again. I'll tell you that. Because if had I known that I might as well have pre-ordered her stuff, both selfie and the autograph before I got there.
Yeah.
I
Right.
might as well have done that. What was I fucking standing in the lineup for if that's the case?
Yeah.
So I won't deal with that again, you know? So I don't know. But anyway, yeah. How did you sell it? How did you bring in New Year?
A friend of mine had a New Year's Eve party at his motel, so I went over there. They set off some fireworks. I was getting very tired at midnight. I'm having a hard time making midnight. I did make it, and then as soon as the fireworks were done, I said goodnight. It was time to come home and go to sleep.
Was your friend late for New Year's?
No, this guy is not. No, this is not Kevin Shelley. No, this guy owns a motel, and he was there long before I got there, and he had everything all set, and he
Long
had
before Kevin ever got there.
Kevin, forget it, man. He'll be there. He'll be there in time for 4th of July. You know, we love you, Kevin, but you got to work on that tardiness. It's really.
I actually had a good time having he and his wife on
Oh,
here.
he's great. He's
You're like,
great. They both are. They
you
both are.
know,
They're great people. You
it's
know.
like the moment we got talking, it's like, you know what, this guy's too fucking pleasant to be mad at.
Exactly. It's true. He's too. And believe it or not, he's a very good actor. He's a very good
Yeah.
actor. And if he gets on board your project, I mean, he's all in. This is it. I mean, a lot of times it's funny because if you look at if you put it under a microscope and look, some directors have these flops, but yet they get movies, and other directors don't. They get that flop, and then that's it. It was like that was it. That was where their career, hinged upon, and others got second and third chances. Again, I think even Robert Zemeckis talked about that. I think Spielberg put some faith in him on something and didn't work out, and then again, and then he finally, believed in Romancing the Stone, which I second or third time, one or the other. I think it was third though, and that was the one that finally clicked and got Zemeckis to where that he needed to be, which was the big times. Because I think the stuff he had done before that really, yeah, it wasn't clicking with people. You
And
know,
then you got guys like Paul Brickman, who I think maybe the only film he did was Risky Business.
yeah,
Brilliantly done. And I don't think he's done anything else. And it's like, wow, and that movie was a hit. And it's like this guy
well,
had some class.
who was the guy that did Wolfen? Remember Wolfen with
Yeah.
Albert? The guy that did that, I don't remember his name. It's a strange name. He hasn't done anything since, and that's what 44 years ago.
Yeah, I remember Wolfen.
Yeah, that was that one.
1981 was a year for werewolf movies because you had an
Oh, it
American Werewolf
was.
in London, you had The Howling, you had Full Moon High, you had Wolfen, and you probably had others.
Yeah, I think what did they call that summer? Wasn't they had a name for that? Wasn't it called Full Moon Fever Summer or something like that?
I don't know.
No, it did. I remember it while they were promoting it in like those gossip magazines. Full Moon Fever Summer continues. Wolfen releasing on this day, and then Full Moon Fever Summer continues again. American Werewolf in London. Just when you thought the summer was over, Full Moon Fever returns with was a Full Moon High.
And
You
of
know,
course, one of my favorites of the year, Clash of the Titans, did have a
oh
two-headed dog.
yeah. Well, I liked it for the Medusa scene. I thought the
I
Medusa scene.
love the Medusa scene.
Yeah, it really was awesome. And it's so hard to believe that's not an actress. It's so hard to believe. And I'm going to tell you something. The bigger the screen you've got to watch that scene on, the more even how many times you've seen it, it just gets creepier. It's like the smaller the screen, the safer it feels. The bigger the, especially that one scene where when the guy looks and they do that close up where she comes like that with the
Yeah.
eyes. Yeah, it really, I'll tell you, I mean, Ray Harryhausen really, it was his last movie, but he made sure he knocked it out of the park with that one. I mean, some of the Calabos scenes really look, rough.
I like the whole thing. I
Oh, so
love
do
the
I. Oh,
whole
absolutely.
thing.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not bashing the film at all. I love it. But
Mhm.
the close ups with the actor, and then when you did the wide shots, it's that stop motion, and it doesn't look match. It doesn't match because I think I read something. It was the same model that he had for Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. It was the
Okay.
exact same. He just like painted up the whatever he's wearing, the clothing or whatever. It's the same thing if you're looking at the wide shots. But hey, good luck finding Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger on a Blu-ray or DVD. I mean, that was what Twilight Time. So what is it, 500 pieces? I mean, Twilight Time doesn't give you much of a choice. So catching that movie, you really have to do your digging. So
Well, my
Clash.
favorite of the Sinbads was the Golden Voyage with gorgeous Caroline Monroe.
Oh, that's Tim Burton's favorite as well. That yeah,
Yeah.
he's always pulled
That's
them up.
my second to Clash of the Titans when it comes to Ray Areas, and I really like the Golden Voyage a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've had Caroline on here, so and I met her at a con. She was very pleasant.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about her. I've never met her. She was in the Bond movie The Spy Who Loved Me, and they dubbed her voice because if you I think she has a more high voice, and if you watch Spy Who Loved Me, the voice is very like husky, and same thing with Moonraker with Corinne Clary. She has that, she was such a beautiful woman that she has that real, deep, sexy voice and all. And then I was watching the premiere screening on YouTube, and she gets on there and it's broken English and it's this real high pitch, voice. And I was like, I never heard her, speak before. So when I heard that voice, I was really taken back after 40 years. I was like, wow, no kidding, you know?
There
So,
you go. Yeah. Well, you know what? You got anything else you want to plug on here before we close off?
well, just remember we'll have Lycan, my feature film, the werewolf movie, Full Moon Fever, if you will.
Hmm.
We'll be seeing that later this year at some point. I have a feeling it's going to be before summer, but you never know. I don't know what the distributor has planned. Maybe they're going to look and go for an October. I don't know, but I think most of this stuff is mostly streaming. You know, so
Yeah, don't you? I prefer to see it on a big screen myself.
that's what it was made for. I made it for that.
Well, anyway, Scott, it's wonderful having you on here today. Hope you have a
Good
good
seeing
chat
you
with
again.
Rachel when you come on, go on there,
I
and
will.
you could tell her you liked me more. We love you, Rachel.
We do. We love Rachel. We do.
We do.
We
It's
absolutely do.
Scott's fault. He said it.
Well, I'll have to be on more than one more time with her this year, so that way we.
No, I'm not competing. Well, you said that and I get joking about it, but I was like, you know what? I'm available right now. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. That's why I said that I'm available tomorrow. Let's do it. So here we are.
Yeah, no, there we are. Why not, you know?
A good way to bring in the new year too. Good way to bring in the new year with the conversation, chat, catch up, and hopefully start the year off good. Hopefully it's a good year for everybody.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's a good 2026. I hope there's less problems for everyone. 25 was a bit rough. We all have to admit. 24 was rougher, I thought, but 25 was a bit rough. And we just got to hope and pray that 26 just turns out a lot better than the last couple of years, because the last couple of years have been a little tricky. And I know many people that have said the same thing to me. And I'm talking heavy numbers here, my friends. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what? Before I let you go, I'd love a plug for my show.
we were on Python Paradise, and I was here speaking with the Python Hyena himself, Mr. Greg Gilbert.
Absolutely. Scott Han, plug your film here again?
Lycaon. Yeah, the werewolf movie. It's a werewolf movie. Stars. I wrote it. I wrote the script. I directed the film. It stars Jeff Sharkey as psychologist Dr. Toscani. It stars co-stars myself as Mr. Joe Spiker, Candace Nolan as Danielle Rogers, Lorena Love as Sarah Fisher, Kevin Shelley as Rudy Thompson,
He'll be
Kevin
late.
Ebner. Kevin Ebner, that's somebody you should be interviewing. You should definitely be interviewing Kevin Ebner. You definitely should be interviewing Kevin Ebner. In fact, if you interview him, I would do a duel with Kevin. I haven't seen him in a while. I'd like to catch up. Wonderful, talented actor, does road shows. Was really happy and lucky to have him. Made a tremendous performance, very professional, doesn't get enough parts. Nobody sees enough of Kevin Ebner.
Well, I'll
Uh,
tell you what, let's maybe come May when I usually have you on, let's have you on with him.
let's try for it. He plays Tony Richards. Good
Yeah.
acting role. I had both Kevin's, Shelley, and Ebner back in my little comedy, Five Losers on a Line. That's my only comedy that I produced. All right. Don't have any release date on that one. My independent short film, Lost in the Night, that is available on Vimeo to be seen by everybody. If you want, Greg, I can even send you the link that you can attach to this thing if you want,
Sure.
so people can watch it. And I think I guess that's it.
Okay, we'll look into that maybe for May when I usually have you on. I have you on there with that guy, and we could do that's usually what I do when I have people back on a second time. I'll have them on with somebody because that way, it mixes things up nicely.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'm going to bid you a wonderful day. You take care and God bless.
God bless, Greg. Great seeing you again. Happy New Year, bud.
All right, Happy New Year to you too.